Good day and greetings from the Great White North. My name is Prickly Poo and welcome to day 139 of A Year of Change. Today we are bringing you yet another documentary, as per usual. It's the end of the week, so probably should anyway. I haven't had as many coffees as I had yesterday, so I should be speaking a little more slowly today, and hopefully you'll be able to understand me a little bit better. Yesterday I went through things very, very quickly, but I'm going to try to slow things down a little bit today. The documentary they have in there is actually, it's part of a series. I tend to get a lot of my stuff from the BBC, but it's a series from the UK, and it's called Old Before My Time. And a lot of the time it sort of focuses on things like drug abuse and alcohol and things like that, and just things that people sort of go through that cause them to prematurely age, basically. Whether it's, with alcohol, it's liver disease and things like that. With drugs, it's, heart issues and just dementia, stuff like that. But they did one episode on obesity. And that's what I'm showing today. Basically what this is, it just sort of, it follows 2 or 3 different people and shows, where they stand in the obesity range, I guess it would be. They follow one woman who has a couple of kids. She's getting ready for bariatric surgery. They follow a guy who actually had a balloon inserted into his stomach at one point and had lost some weight, and he's going back in to get another one put in. They follow another woman who is pretty much where we are now, or where we were 4 months ago, not really doing anything, just sort of following and getting her started off, things like that. But the interesting thing with this, I mean, we all know that with certain things, like if you're drinking a tremendous amount of alcohol, the liver disease and cirrhosis, that's going to happen. But this follows the same sort of thing that, I mean, it shows what can happen with obesity as well. There is liver disease in there. It's, I think, non-alcoholic cirrhosis. It's basically the exact same thing. Just fatty deposits, basically fatty deposits grow around your liver, and then if you try to lose that, then it tries to repair it, then it creates scar tissue, and that's what cirrhosis is. It shows people that are in their 20s that are having the same problems that people in their 70s would normally have, like gout and diabetes and liver disease, like I say, heart disease, and all these problems that are generally associated with people that are much, much older. And they have these same problems now in their 20s. And it follows these 3 people throughout the documentary. It's about an hour long. And it touches on a number of different things. It shows, how their lifestyle has sort of been the cause of things. What they're trying to do to change that. The guy who lost all the weight, before, he talks about how he used to eat before he got the balloon in and the experience he went through with that. It actually goes into a camp program for kids where they try to tell them, sort of change their lifestyle at a very early age. Because it's just like sort of what we're doing here. The weight loss isn't really what we're focusing on. We're changing our lifestyle, and the weight loss is going to come because of what we're doing. That's why we haven't really cut anything out. There's been very few restrictions imposed. Because aside from things like, well, I have 500 calories left for the day. Do I want, one little bag of chips, or do I want something, that's going to give me the same number of calories, but I can eat more of, which I can't think of right now? Vegetables of some sort, or fruit, or whatever it is. So it sends them to, it's for this camp. It's for these. I say it's a camp. It's sort of a program at a university, I think, that takes in these kids just to show them, here's what you need to do, because there are some kids as young as 8 years old that, in the next 10 years could be having these same problems, like having liver disease in your 20s, and gout and diabetes, of course, is the big one that, pretty much affects everybody. But there are a number of different things that you'll see in here that are all too familiar. There's one of the people that, the one who's actually going in for surgery and saying, this is sort of her last hope. This is their last ditch effort, is to to try to do something. And we've all been there. We've all been in that situation where we just think, like, I just have no further options. I need to do this because I can't do this on my own. There's another one that is, they're trying to get her started on a few things, but she puts a very brave front up saying, no, I'm happy with the way I am. I'd rather, be happy and live a short life than live forever and be miserable. But we've said that to other people as well. We've said it to ourselves. We lied to ourselves so many times. And just to have, just be able to see someone that is putting up that same front and saying, oh, well, yes, I know I'm overweight, but I'm happy. And we never are. There are very few people, I think. I mean, anyone watching this, obviously, if you're watching this, you want to change this. There are very few of us out there that are happy with the way that we look and how we feel and how our life has been going. And that, more than anything else in the documentary, is really something that sort of sticks with me. Because I've been in that situation where I say, you look at someone that's eating carrot sticks on a park bench and you're just like, I'd rather have my hamburger, I'll be fat and I'll be happy. But at the moment, you're happy. And, maybe it doesn't hit you every now and then. But the majority of the time, actually, I don't think that timeline works. It may not hit you as often as it should, but there are those moments when it does hit you. And the realization of what you look like and how you feel, and aside from your health, just, the constant exhaustion and your appearance and everything else, you just think, no, I'm not happy. So when I'm looking at this and I can see that she's putting that brave face forward, and you just know that deep down there, no, she's not. She's not happy. And there are a number of people that will seem to say that, well, you can like me the way I am and, whatever, but, which is fine. But I just have a really hard time believing that anyone that's in our position, that looks the way that we look and that feels the way that we feel, both physically and emotionally and psychologically and everything else, can really say, oh, no, but I'm content the way that I am. If they were, then the diet industry wouldn't be what it is. You wouldn't be watching this. You wouldn't be going and trying out exercising and going for, bariatric surgery, regardless as to the type. It's a different, I don't know how to put it. It's different than lying to someone if you were doing drugs or alcohol or something, because, you can say, no, I'm happy the way that I am, even though I have no teeth and I've been robbing my family blind. With food, we don't break the law to go get food. We don't really damage other people to get food. It's really just very internalized. So those moments, even at your happiest, when you're sitting with your double burger and you're just like, this is so good, everything is great. Even then, in the back of your head, well, mine anyway, there's always that little nagging voice that's going, yeah, but you're not. You know that what you're doing is just adding to the problem. And burying it under food is not going to help. So it's one of those things that sort of, more than anything in the documentaries, just stands out for me. You may have a different opinion, but for me, that's what I see. Anyone who's saying, oh, but I'm happy the way that I am, well, you're really not. Otherwise, you wouldn't be saying, well, I know I should probably exercise more and do this. And I understand it is a defense mechanism that we all sort of build up over time, where we say to people, no, I'm fine. And it's the same sort of thing that, you tend to make that joke about yourself before anybody else does, just to make sure that it cuts a little more, well, not as deep, cuts a little more, less. That doesn't make any sense, does it? Babbling everywhere. Sorry, we'll rewind just a little bit. Say, it's the same sort of thing that, and I'm sure many of you have done this as well, where a joke is coming. And so, even if it isn't, it sort of becomes second nature, where you'll joke about yourself and you'll hit that punchline quickly just to sort of diffuse the situation, because you've heard them all. It's not going to be anything new. They still hurt. They still cut. But if you can do it yourself, it's less of an impact. It doesn't seem to be as bad, and then generally it sort of settles things down. But anyway, that's way off. But I look at that the same way as in the same sort of vein as putting that forward and saying, no, I'm happy the way I am. I'd rather be happy and fat and live a short life than be miserable all the time and having to eat celery and steamed broccoli and everything else. So, and I understand that is sort of part of it as well, that there seems to be just that notion that there are two extremes, saying, well, I can either eat what I want, or I have to eat just all fruits and vegetables and go vegan and gluten-free and everything else. And it really doesn't. I mean, we've talked about this before. There are going to be days when we just say, no, I want a burger. I want a fast food burger. So you can go. You can do that. We're continually exercising. We're eating much, much healthier than we were before. And I think overall, if you have that balanced diet, having some junk food every once in a while, and I do mean every once in a while, not, oh, this is my junk food day. Every Saturday I can eat whatever I want. I know that there are some people out there that say, oh, I know this person, they eat whatever they want. Yeah, but they're probably very, very active, which is why they keep the weight off. So unless you're burning off those calories every single time you do it, I wouldn't recommend doing a weekly thing. But going every once in a while and having that just to sort of satiate that urge, that get rid of that craving, satisfy, I should have said. But to satisfy that craving is not going to kill us. The problem is that we don't really have any off switch. We don't have anywhere that we can say, okay, you know what, I need to do this in moderation. We don't have the ability to say, I'm just going to eat, one chocolate-covered pretzel. I'm going to eat 5, and then 10, and then 15. I'm going to keep eating until I'm sick. And that's something that I'm working on. I'm getting much, much better at it, mainly because I have that number in front of me, and I think, if I go over, I have to do my treadmill, and I'm lazier more than I am hungry. So I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to not eat that, and it'll just give me those extra calories for the end of the day. I'll keep that. I don't know where I'm going with this. I really don't. This has turned into a whole other thing. Getting back to the documentary. Anyway, in relation to the documentary, see, I've made that connection. It isn't a matter of those two extremes, but I think that people see that as being one or the other, and that's where they had the difficulty. And I think that, obviously, when you're going through bariatric surgery, then your diet does drastically change. When they follow up with the woman later on, about a month later, she had lost quite a bit of weight. She lost about 20 pounds, but she's essentially eating baby food while she's sort of getting used to eating again. Same thing with the other follow-ups. They show, what they've done to change, how, the programs are doing and everything else. They sort of follow up about a month after everything else is done. But the main thing with this is that just the sheer volume of problems that can come from, now I'm getting back on track, that can come from obesity, that I don't want to say should be, because that sounds mean to old people, but things that are normally restricted to elderly people, that, people in their 70s and 80s, that in deep down you sort of think, I shouldn't get this. I'm too young for this. I'm in my 20s or my 30s or whatever you are. And with all of these people, they're in their 20s and they have these, like, they're at the very least a high risk of getting the same issues, whether it's cirrhosis or, heart disease, and just a myriad of problems that they're running into strictly because of their weight. And the one good thing with the children's program is that although it's sad that they're in there so young, the fact that they are sort of getting in there when they are that young and saying, this is what you need to change. This is how you need to eat and you need to be active and everything else. If it's something that you can get them while they're young, so to speak, and get them to get that lifestyle change and be part of their just sort of a habit early on, then you can obviously avoid them having to go through the same stuff that we've gone through for our entire lives. And I know this is a topic I tend to revisit often, but a lot of our eating habits and the way that we look at food and how we respond to it and everything else, it does come from when we're kids. It's very rare that you have someone that is, thin for their entire life and then late in their 30s all of a sudden becomes obese without there being a severe medical issue alongside of it. These are behaviors that are learned and that we sort of practice through our lifetime. So if they can sort of nip this in the bud when the kids are young, and especially if they can get it before the kids are done growing, then hopefully they'll sort of even out and be much, much healthier than we are at this stage. And they can avoid the things like, the liver disease and, cardiovascular disease and, the risk of heart attack. Just a whole slew of different things that people can run into from having too much weight. Some of which I'm sure that we all have. At some point, someone has something. Whoever among you is watching this, I probably mentioned something that either you or someone you know or someone else watching that you don't know has. But it's something that we can easily avoid for the next generation of people that are coming into this. So anyway, I've really gone off the rails with this one. Sorry. Maybe should have had more coffee. Speed things up a little bit more. But go up, take a look. It's called Old Before My Time. And there are other episodes out there that you can go in and take a look at. But this one really focuses on obesity. And just sort of gives the, 4 different stories. 3, essentially, plus the doctor who's running this clinic for kids. So it goes through those, and it does a follow-up later on to see how people are faring and things like that. It's a real eye-opener, though, when you look at just going through each person who, like, there's one, she's in her early 20s, and they do a whole slew of tests, and it comes out with what their physiological age actually is. And hers, I think, was 37, which doesn't sound really high, but the fact that at 22, you have an extra 15 years on you already. If you continue on in that vein, it's just the gap is going to get larger and larger and larger. So they do these tests with everyone just to sort of give them a rough idea as to where they stand. And it's not, a tremendous amount of medical jargon or anything else in there. It's just a very simple number saying, here's your real age, but physiologically, here's where you stand. And to have that sort of shown to you in just black and white, saying I'm actually 15 or 20 or 30 years older than I should be because of how I'm eating, it tends to have an effect. So hopefully it's for the better. But go up, take a look. I'll put it in the recommended viewing once again, so it'll be easy enough to find. And you can go up. You can probably find, I'm pretty sure that they have a number of different episodes up there as well. But this one, obviously, where it's pertaining to us, I thought it was one that we should probably take a look at. But that's it. I'm going to sort of cut things short here because I feel like I've gone all over the place and it's very disjointed. So go watch some TV and enjoy. That's pretty much all I have to say. So thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked it, please poke the like button for me. And in the meantime, keep yourself warm and fuzzy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.